Hi, this is Jeryl Spear. I'm the executive editor of Launchpad magazine, and to my right is Blair Hopper, CEO and president of Freestyle Systems. Blair and I have had an interesting conversation for about the last hour and a half about how he is not only planning on revolutionizing the way we blow dry hair and hang our equipment in salons, but also how the entire world will one day be lit. Blair, would you like to explain a little bit about your Freestyle system and what makes it special?
Sure. The Freestyle Systems was originally invented for a friend of mine that was getting carpal tunnel in her wrist, and I told her I could make the dryer so it felt totally weightless the whole time she was using it. I built a prototype, installed it in her salon, and within 3 days all of the symptoms went away in her wrist. So at that point we realized that there was something there that potentially could help a lot of people in the industry. We went on to do a survey in New York and found out that 47% of all stylists complain of some sort of shoulder or arm problem related to a dryer. We introduced it with Robert Cromean's salon in San Diego. What we did in San Diego is we installed 26 stations, and the first day that we put them in, like almost half of the people absolutely loved it because they learned that they could just use like 2 fingers to do a blow dry. They didn't have to support the weight anymore.
Well, wait a minute. I don't understand that. Now, I was a hairdresser for 17 years, and I know that if I held my blow dryer with 2 fingers, it'd be on the floor.
Yeah.
So, is this the floating mechanism that you're talking about? I don't understand this.
What the way the mechanism works is when you pull the dryer down, the dryer turns on automatically.
Okay.
And as you're moving it around, the mechanism constantly counterbalances the dryer, so you don't have any weight on the dryer anymore. You can actually fine-tune with the infrared remote control, so you can have, like, you can make it feel like 1 ounce if you want, or -1 ounce, whatever you want, you can fine-tune it to that.
That's fabulous. I've had wrist problems, shoulder problems, neck problems from blow drying hair for so many years and for so many hours a day.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that most of that could have been avoided had this been in operation and been in existence 17, 20 years ago.
Yeah, well, what's interesting is you almost don't normally think about it, but a blow dryer weighs 1 pound to 1.5 pounds. And a carpenter's hammer, like a 20-ounce hammer, they take it out and they hit it and put it back in. Where you, when you're styling hair, you're holding out 1 pound to 1.5 pounds several hours during the course of a full day. If you take that weight and eliminate it totally, then it has to have good effects on your arm. And we've seen it time and time again with stylists that have been using the system. I have one lady in Durham, North Carolina, that while she was pregnant, her whole arm was numb for 8 months because she had symptoms from blow drying hair. After she installed the Freestyles, all her symptoms have gone. We're not saying it eliminates carpal tunnel or does any of that, but what we've seen is time and time again, people don't have the same types of problems because they're not holding the weight.
It helps eliminate those stressors.
Yeah.
Is what you're talking about. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Now, you said that you did was it an informal survey, or what did you do at the IBS show to find out just how many of us dressers have problems with our wrists, shoulders, elbows, necks?
Well, I was fortunate that one of my clients was a specialist in surveys. So she helped us form a survey, and we brought it down to the IBS show in New York. And we found with that survey that 47% of all stylists have some sort of problems related to their wrists or their elbows or their shoulders from holding the weight of a hairdryer. And that was embedded in question number 22 because we were asking about scissors and we were asking about all kinds of stuff because we didn't want to lead them on. And when we found out that that many people have that many problems with their arms and shoulders, we felt like we should really look into the Freestyle and make it a manufacturable item that we can bring into the industry. So I met Robert in Orlando, and I had a prototype set up in the corner. It was all covered, and we first met, it was kind of an awkward moment for me because I'm like the engineering conservative type.
He is.
And Robert walks in the door and he's got his see-through shirt, and I mean everybody knows what Robert looks like. So, and I'm like kind of in shock. I says, "Who am I dealing with here?" kind of. And so he was like really polite and really nice. And one of the coolest things that he said was, I want us all to have fun here. I see hundreds of ideas come every year, but the important thing is let's enjoy this. And that was because he didn't even know what we were about to present to him. So he's prepping me for failure, kind of. Like if I really don't like your idea, let's just have fun. So that was very nice of him. So he sat opposite me in the conference table, and we started to present the build-up to what it was. And within a few seconds, I realized that this guy's really smart, too. He's not only nice, he's smart. And so as the conversation goes on, he's anxious to see what it is, and he says, "Come on, just show it to me." And I said, "Okay." And I walked over, and I pulled the curtain down, and when I did, he was like, "I love it, I love it." And it turns out that his father was a dentist, and he had always wanted stuff to come down from the ceiling. And so I said, "Robert, you got to try this." So he walks up to it, and I used a black Elchim because I knew that he used black Elchims in his salon. He pulled the dryer down, it turned on automatically, and it just, no matter where he moved it, it just floated in his hand. And so there was virtually no weight to the dryer. And at that point, I hadn't invented the connector or the gimbal to make it swivel. So Robert starts looking at it and says, if we can make this thing more flexible this way to turn, because up and down and moving it around is one thing, but rotating the dryer is really important. And if we can do that, that would be like really good. And I knew that that was like inevitable, that we would have to do that. So after Robert's done talking, I reach into my bag and I pull out a prototype dryer that didn't actually work, but it had a swivel on it. And I connected that up, and it just swiveled around. And Robert was like, "Wow, that's crazy. That's great." And then he looking at it more, and he said that I've talked to a lot of hairdryer manufacturers, and I've asked to get rid of the handle. He says, because when I train my kids, we hold it by the nozzle, and the handle's always in the way. And so we're like, everybody kind of knows what I have in my bag, right? So Robert's going through the whole thing, and I think this is like awesome, what's about to happen. So when he's all done talking, I reach into my bag and I pull out a hairdryer with no handle, and I plug it in, and this was an actual usable dryer that we had modified. He pulls it down, it comes on, and basically the deal was done at that point. And Robert was building his salon in San Diego, where they were just starting they were working on the contractual agreements and that sort of thing. And it was like one of the coolest buildings in San Diego. So we designed what we consider like a light platform to go above each station, so that way we get the right amount of light at each station, and it was also to be able to house the freestylers.
He didn't mention this, but he's not only a contractor, but he's an engineer and an inventor. And I have a feeling that one day soon the whole world is going to know about many of his inventions that save lives, save energy, and make the world a prettier place. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Okay. You mentioned